Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta bear.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired! Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
Stupid.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Thursday. We got a show for you all today. It's going to be interesting. We have an update on the Marjorie Taylor Greene story that we did yesterday, which is hilarious and also incredibly disturbing. So, look, I'll give you the details on that. We have Donald Trump versus his former lawyer. I had to catch up, everybody, because he is not happy. We have that. We have Lauren Boebert could be going to court. Oh, interesting. But wait, there's a lot of twists and turns in that story. We got a defamation suit. We got a counter defamation suit. We got a PAC that was putting out some pretty dubious information, or I should say dubiously sourced information. We got lies. It's just an amazing story. We'll get to that. Then we have an update here on a Florida sheriff who doesn't like Nazis. Well, it turns out somebody had threatened to murder him online, and guess what? He effed around. He found out. Got details on that. And then, of course, Donald Trump. We're going to talk about how True Social might have been involved in money laundering. What is going on? So all those stories, again, these are absolutely fantastic stories. But before I get into it, I just want to make a little bit of a plea, I suppose. I know a lot of you enjoy the show, want to keep the show going. And, you know, there are many of you who actually do support the show quite a bit with super chats and things like that. And I really, really appreciate it. So, look, just to be honest, right now, we're going through a really, really hard time. I got some devastating, crushing news today. And so I don't really want to go into the details of that. But let's just say I'm going to need your support more than ever. And I know it might be difficult for a lot of you to do so. But again, you know, look, I love doing the show. I want to continue doing the show. But I'm going to need your help. So to, you know, keep us going. If not, you know, again, I'll have to see about doing something else for a little while. To make extra money, to, you know, really make ends meet. Again, it's tough. Certainly the algorithm has not been helping us the amount of views and stuff. So, look, I wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't important. And I can understand there's a lot of people that, it's tough times everywhere. I get you. But like, hey, we gotta do what we can. If we can, and I'm gonna do what I can, however I can, try to put up more content, and things like that to, provide more for you all. If there comes a point where that's unsustainable, I can't do that, I've got to switch to something else, for a little while, you're going to do what I got to do. But we're going to figure this out. And, I'm going to keep trying to do as much as I can, whatever I can, however I can. And that's all I can say, but I really, really appreciate it. Any help that y'all can provide. Again, wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. But anyway, with that, holy shit, Gabby Mathis, with the very, very exceptionally amazing $200 super chat. Holy shit, I cannot thank you enough. Gabby, thank you so much. Jesus Christ, you all are so incredibly just generous. And again, I didn't ask you this lightly. And I really, 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 really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And also, No Man's Jam, thank you for the very kind $10. I really appreciate that. But Gabby, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And you're all absolutely amazing. I really appreciate you. But let's get to a show. I promise you a show. Let's do a show. Let's get her done. Okay. And by the way, if you want to, of course, do something that's like on a subscription type of thing, we have our Patreon as well. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. That's how you can just, continue to fund the show as we go through. Again, tough times for a lot of people. The other way that you can help out, like and share. Weary Pirates, thank you for the very kind $2. Love the show. Wish I had more to give. Brother, or, brother, sister, whatever. I appreciate, what you have, and helping out as much as you can. Woozle1967, thank you for the very kind $5. Changeling DJ, thank you for the very kind $5. Again, thank you so much. You're all extremely generous, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Okay. Look, but we got stories. Let's get to some stories. Let's have some fun. Starting out with Marjorie Greene. All right. Okay. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene was given a bit of a fact check over one of her more recent claims. This was a claim made during a hearing at the border about the border. Well, not a hearing at the border, but about the border. In fact, I showed you the video here yesterday. I'm going to show you part of it again. Take a look.
Chief Ortiz, are you aware that there was an explosive device found by Border Patrol agents on January 17th in an area called No Man's Land, and there's surveillance of who put it there? And guess what? It wasn't Americans, it was cartels. Are you aware of that?
Are you aware of that? I mean, the cartels, they're putting bombs in the border. We should do something about this. Here's, and Marjorie Greene, of course, put out this, or introduced this piece of legislation to literally invade Mexico. I'm not kidding. An invasion of Mexico to bomb the cartels, to have the military go into another sovereign country. So now, we got to go after the cartels. They've declared war on us. We have to declare war on them. Over this, bomb? Well, this so-called bomb turns out wasn't actually a bomb at all. In fact, I have an image of what it looks like. That's your bomb. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's dangerous bomb. Which actually, it ends up being a ball of sand wrapped in duct tape. Yeah. Oops. Now, aside from this being hilarious in the fact that it turns out to not actually be a bomb, which, hey, great. I'm glad that it wasn't a bomb. I'm glad that it wasn't anything dangerous. Wonderful. But aside from the hilarity of Marjorie Greene, again, in the segment that I did talking about this earlier, on yesterday when this hearing had happened, Marjorie Greene also was giving out what could have been classified information about this alleged bomb or ball of sand wrapped in duct tape. But the best part, my favorite part, is who gave her a fact check. You want to know? Fox News. Fox News. Now, look, I'm not saying that it was on the main Fox News network. It wasn't like, oh, Tucker Carlson, oh, it turned out Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't being honest about this, or thought that this ball of duct tape and sand was a bomb. No. This was a reporter, though. This was LA-based reporter Bill Malukin, I think. And so, look, hey, a reporter's a reporter. Yes, there are reporters that work at Fox News that will actually give you actual news. In fact, there are people at Fox News that have gotten in trouble for doing actual facts. For example, Tucker Carlson had tried to get one reporter, Jackie Heinrich, fired for reporting factual information. So, yeah, this is the situation that's going on, okay? And so, yes, you had this Fox News reporter quote tweeting Greene and saying, quote, a high-level CBP source tells me that this is a fake and was actually filled with dirt. It was discovered by Border Patrol agents in Rio Grande City in the RGV. And while it appeared nefarious, no, it actually doesn't appear nefarious. Not to me, anyway. He said, I'm told it did not contain any explosives. Oops. Later on, Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz, who was in that hearing yesterday or on Wednesday, confirmed on Twitter that the device was harmless. Afterwards, Greene tweeted at Ortiz that several Border Patrol agents are saying that it was some sort of improvised explosive device. I'm just explaining what I was told today, Greene said. No, what you did is that you tried to create a panic by putting out false information. Because again, and by the way, not just false information, but this was privileged classified information. So she wasn't cleared to talk about this. And she says, well, what about that bomb? And it turns out, wasn't a bomb. Look, as I explained before, though, this wasn't an accident. No, I think that she did want to stir up a panic. And so she could score her political points and push her bill, which again would have caused the literal invasion of Mexico to go after the cartels. Look, Border Patrol agents, I do understand that they are trained to be suspicious of everything, especially suspicious of brown people, which is why I'm not exactly a huge fan of the Border Patrol. Okay? But look, yes, you might want to wait and be certain of what you're dealing with. As a congressperson, be certain of their reports that they're actually factual, because it's not like we haven't had situations where intelligence agencies or different agencies had given Congress people incorrect information and they made a horrible decision on it. I mean, can you remember the last time that happened? Oh, right. Yes. Iraq and Afghanistan. Oops. Well, our intelligence agency says Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. Let's go to war. Yeah, war. Let's do it. And so now Marjorie Greene, over, again, that was like, we should go to war in Mexico. Oh, dear God, no. Understand how disastrous this could end up. If we had more idiots, and there's a likelihood that this could happen, more idiots like Marjorie Taylor Greene in positions of power making these decisions. More people agreeing with her to invade a sovereign country, which again, the right wing really wants to do now. Yes, there are members of the right wing of, Republican politicians along with Greene agreeing that, invade Mexico, bomb the drug cartels. This is why they're dangerous. This is why this entire thing is just horrifying. I know it's funny, but also just with everything, the clownery gets to a point of where it's dangerous. Oh, good Lord. Okay, let's move to Donald Trump versus Michael Cohen. Yeah, this is a very interesting case. Not to mention how many people live here, would be internment camps all over again if that kind of BS ever happened. Oh, God. Yeah. Just it's horrifying. The horrifying. All right. Trying to have a little bit of fun. Hide the ketchup, because it appears that former President Donald Trump is in a bad mood.
Can't let that happen.
And it's delicious. And I don't mean the ketchup. So recently news emerged that Trump's longtime former fixer, Michael Cohen, was testifying before the grand jury in New York over his, and more importantly, Donald Trump's involvement in the hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. So look, if you are running for office and you decide, you're planning on running for office, and you think that there's maybe some terrible information that's about to come out about you during the course of that campaign, and you decide, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay off this person so that they don't talk to the press. I'm going to make them sign an NDA, and I'm just going to pay them some money, get them to shut up so it doesn't hurt my political chances. And I'm going to do so by getting my longtime lawyer, also known as my fixer, to do it. And he's going to pay this person out of their own account, and I'm going to reimburse them to make it look all not totally illegal, even though it actually definitely is illegal. Well, yeah, that would definitely make you a criminal. First, the person who is engaging in that transfer, and then, of course, the person ordering that transfer. But what happens when the person who had ordered that transfer, allegedly, of course, happens to become the president of the United States? Well, you end up with that fixer going to prison, whereas that president, doesn't face any sort of consequences. So that's the situation that's going on. Okay. So look, the fact that Michael Cohen is now out and he's out of prison and he's going and actually testifying in this now criminal probe in New York over these alleged hush money payments, which would be considered to be a campaign contribution, an illegal one. Well, that's got him pretty angry. And he decided to take his grievances to, well, where else?
Truth, essential.
That's right. So now here's what he wrote. Does anybody believe that sleazebag disbarred lawyer Michael Cohen went before a grand jury yesterday and did little butt talk about it today? You're not allowed to do that, just like in Georgia. Funny enough, he's saying, you know, things that you're not allowed to do, and then bringing up Georgia, in which, you know, you tried to get a person who was running the elections to what is it, Brad Raffensperger, to find him votes, which you're not supposed to do, but and to pressure them into trying to find you votes, and then to get your friends, people like Lindsey Graham, to do the same thing. Oh yes, the things that you're not supposed to do. Now you're bringing up things. Hey, you're not supposed to do that. Great. Just like in Georgia, with a juror was severely admonished for talking. Cohen has no credibility at any level. Total loser. You know what's funny about this? You look at that and look, Trump's right about one thing there. And I know it doesn't mean I have to give it to him, because I think this is very, very obvious. But Michael Cohen, I've said it before, and not so, you know, the same term, but yeah, he's a sleazebag. For me, I've called him a snake. I know animals are innocent. You're not supposed to, you know, call people like animal names as an insult, the whole vegan rap thing. But hey, look, he's a sleazebag. Of course he's a sleazebag. Now, the point that I'm making with that is the fact that Michael Cohen is a sleazebag is exactly what Donald Trump had hired him in the first place. It's not the bug, it's the feature. Oh, are you one of the sleaziest, slimiest lawyers that I can find? Why, yes, I happen to be one of those people. Great, you're hired. You can do all my dirty stuff for me, so that you can get in trouble, and that's the unspoken part. And I can get away with pretty much everything. You could be my fall guy. Well, yeah, that's essentially what happened. So, funny enough, the claim, and there's this claim going around, and I think there's some validity to it, honestly. But there's a claim going around, and there's questions about if Cohen would be a problematic witness in this particular case because of everything that had happened between him and Donald Trump. But that's, again, essentially started for the fact that Michael Cohen went to prison for lying on behalf and at the behest of Trump in the first place. And it was after that where Michael Cohen had turned on Trump, and of course Trump had, look, when it comes down to it, Trump had abandoned Michael Cohen to his fate, because to Donald Trump, I believe people, he thinks that there are people that are just expendable. Once you are no longer useful to me, once I cannot extract anything from you, you gotta go, son. Like, I have no interest. Coffee boy, I don't know you. Who is this guy? Well, sir, there's multiple photos of you together. Don't know him. Fake news. But sir, you know this, and you know this person. He's gonna get you in trouble if you don't at least try to, you know, rectify the situation.
Can't let that happen.
No, he's gonna get another lawyer. Look, if there are any lawyers that'll actually work for him. So, but again, getting back to the situation, right? It is a complicated situation because, again, if you point to the fact that Michael Cohen is a sleazebag who was lying under oath on behalf of Donald Trump, well, it's like, you can't really trust the guy. But at the same time, he's also probably one of the best witnesses against Donald Trump because of the fact that he had been basically left to rot even after he had committed perjury on behalf of Donald Trump. And so, look, he went to prison. And the other part of this is a personal animus, right? So Michael Cohen, of course, is going to have personal animus against Trump because, well, he got left in prison. Of course, that would sour you on somebody. Not only that, but something that I had recently remembered, because, look, a lot had happened in the last few years. But the administration during COVID, the Trump administration, had actually sent Michael Cohen back to prison. So there was COVID release. So like he appealed to get out, COVID release, and then he wrote a memoir that wasn't exactly nice towards Donald Trump. So the administration said, "Oh, you know what? Back to prison for you. You're going to go back in." And so a lot of people saw that. Legal experts saw that. A court saw that as like, hey, you are retaliating against your political enemy. You got to release Michael Cohen. And so they eventually did. They released Michael Cohen, and afterwards, Cohen decided to file a civil rights lawsuit against Trump. He lost that civil rights lawsuit. And that's really interesting. So this had landed in the lap of Trump appointee District Judge Louis Lehman. So now Lehman threw out the lawsuit and he said, look, there are Supreme Court precedents that were set that make it so that you cannot sue the president of the United States over these civil rights violations because we don't think there are these cases that have already been decided with precedent that your case does not fit. So now Cohen says, look, I was thrown in solitary for 16 days. I was retaliated against for, writing a memoir that was, again, very anti-Trump. And so my civil rights were violated. So nonetheless, Lehman threw out that lawsuit and said, but here's what he wrote in his opinion. Quote, this court pauses to reiterate the profound violence this holding does to Cohen's constitutional rights. Cohen's complaint alleges an egregious violation of constitutional rights by the executive branch. Nothing short of the use of executive power to lock up the president's political enemies for speaking critically of him. The Supreme Court's precedents ensure that there is at best a partial remedy for the abuse of power and violation of rights against the perpetrators of those wrongs. And yet, Lehman also used and ruled that there were multiple Supreme Court precedents that had ended up dooming his case as well. So while he did get out of jail, his civil rights lawsuit was immediately thrown out. So look, I bring that up just to illustrate how much bad blood there is between the two. And so on the one hand, again, it hurts his case as being a credible witness, along with the fact that he had lied, perjured himself under oath and went to prison. But that's when he was doing it at the behest of Donald Trump. Now he's against Trump, but can he be trusted in any sort of testimony now based on that previous, the fact that he had previously lied? And so that's an interesting question here because, again, we are dealing with a couple of pretty terrible people. Cohen is, again, he is a sleazebag. Always been a sleazebag. But at the same time, if Cohen is telling the truth, then it would be sort of poetic justice here when you have a terrible person taking on and taking down an even worse person. Because sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes a bad person to take down a worse person. I guess let him fight. But again, that's making the assumption that Cohen is telling the truth. And that's something that I can't really say to be the case because I don't know if he's being honest or not. But I will say this. If I were in his position, telling the truth to me would feel like an act of preservation, survival. Because think about it this way, right? He has to. He's got no friends in the right, obviously. I don't even think the anti-Trumpers or the establishment Republicans are going to really, treat him very well or offer him some sort of position. He can't exactly work in law because he's been disbarred. And if he ended up lying, again, the left wing, even the establishment Democrats, wouldn't want anything to do with him. I'd throw him to the curb immediately. Look at what happened to Michael Avenatti. So for him personally, telling the truth, and he's got to know this, it's a matter of survival. And so when I look at it through that perspective, through that lens, I mean, for his sake, he's definitely got to be going to have to be telling the truth. And judging by the reaction to Trump, even seeing the fact that Cohen is testifying to that grand jury in that case, shows me that Trump is in a bit of a panic over it. Again, that's a really interesting, nuanced case. Emergency Remedial Truth has a good point. I believe in redemption. A person can go down a dark path for years until the trauma shows them the light. People can repent and change. You know what? That's, I like that attitude. I really do. I am also someone who tries to, really tries to believe in redemption. And I think that is an attitude that kind of is a little bit lacking on the left. Not from y'all who are watching me, but there is, I think, this tendency to not be as forgiving. And look, I think that you do have to do restorative justice. You can't just forgive people on a whim. What the right wing does is, oh, you say that you're not a left winger anymore. You say you're not a liberal anymore, whatever. And you hate who I hate. Good enough. Come back in. Oh, you did all these terrible things. Come back in. As long as you believe what I believe, hate who I hate. Great. Come on. Redemption. Oh, did you bathe in the blood of Jesus? Great. Wonderful. Come on in. Help us own the libs. Whereas on the left, it does take a lot more. But I think there's a lot of, it's because there's a lot of people that are more interested or that are very interested in restorative justice. And then there are the people that no matter how much, and I don't think this is the majority of the left, and so just don't misunderstand me, there is some on the left that no matter how much restorative justice you do, it's not going to be enough, especially if you happen to maybe disagree on one or two issues. That they'll always take that one thing and throw it back in your face. But again, I don't know entirely, but that's the sense that I've gotten from some of the discourse that I've seen as of late. But anyway, I don't think it's necessarily religious, just choosing better. No, it doesn't have to be religious in order to, become a better person, for sure. You know what? Why don't I go for the money laundering story that I was going to do? Since it seems to be related. Okay. Cohen's accent makes me want a pizza.
Yes!
Absolutely. Absolutely. Too bad I don't have anything about pizza on my soundboard. Okay. Okay. Former President Donald Trump's media company, Trump Media, is under investigation for something else. Possible money laundering. Interesting. Now, on Wednesday, The Guardian reported that the company, who is the parent company of True Social and owns it.
Truth essential.
Now, that company has, again, already been under a federal investigation since last year, but is now being probed as to whether or not it had, done criminal money laundering. That's right. They're looking at whether the company violated money laundering statutes in connection with the acceptance of $8 million in wire transfers that were a little suspicious. So now look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. There's not a lot of information here, but I'm going to give you what I have. But I also will approach this with a slight amount of skepticism, and you're going to see why. Okay. So now, this money, money that was wired to the company, according to records, has some very loose suspected Russian ties. So that right there is kind of what makes me a little like, okay, here we got a Russia story. We got Russian funding of True Social, potentially. Now, when you look at the details, it seems to be a loose affiliation, but let's get into the details, okay? So now, as I mentioned before, this is an expansion of an ongoing investigation. There has been no definitive conclusion. Wow, what a weirdo slip. So here are the details. This is from investigations reporter Hugo Lowell, writing for The Guardian. Towards the end of last year, prosecutors started examining 2 loans totaling $8 million wired to Trump media through the Caribbean islands from 2 obscure entities that both appeared to be controlled in part by the relation of an ally to Russian President Vladimir Putin. So it feels like it's the cousin's friend's friend that controls this company that loaned money. So that's where, again, I get a little skeptical. But what I'm not skeptical about is the fact that they received money from a very dubious source. And so we'll get to the details on that. So now, the first $2 million payment to Trump Media came in December of 2021, when the company was on the brink of collapse after a planned merger with DWAC, the blank check company, which would have unlocked millions of dollars for the social media company, was delayed when the SEC had opened an inquiry into whether the arrangement had broken regulatory rules. Okay, so now I had talked about that before. We're not going to get into the details on that again. DWAC's chief executive, Patrick Orlando, had sourced this $2 million loan wired from something called Paxum Bank, which is registered in Dominica. This is according to wire transfer receipts reviewed by The Guardian. So, yes, this loan happened. This was money that had been wired through the Caribbean offshore banks, and we don't necessarily know exactly the sources because it seems really muddled, right? And that's where I think, oh yeah, this could absolutely be an issue where there's money laundering. Now, whether or not it connects to like Vladimir Putin trying to single-handedly, float Truth Social for some reason, that I'm not necessarily sold on. I would have to see actually more evidence on that front. Nonetheless, this does seem weird. This does seem suspicious. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. And it's not left-wing progressive press or, anything like that. No, it was people at Truth Social. So we'll get to that in a minute. Now, Paxum Bank, this is where it came from. The wire transfer identified them as the beneficial owner, although the promissory note identified an entity called ES Family Trust as the lender. 2 months later, an unexpected second $6 million payment arrived in Trump Media's account from ES Family Trust, according to the transfer receipt. Oh, now that's weird. That's very interesting. Why is this random company, these two random companies in the Caribbean sending True Social a bunch of money? Now, obviously, there's got to be some sort of, in my opinion, right? And I don't have anything to back this up, right? But I would think, in my opinion, this has got to be some person that really wants True Social to succeed, going through and doing this, overseas weirdo back, channel secret loans to get past the SEC investigation, because that SEC investigation had locked up all of that potential money that True Social was going to get. Now, I said before, True Social is also a pump and dump scheme. So, a way to get investors to invest in this company, and then when it fails, bail before it fails, essentially. But this company never got its funding. It never really even got off the ground. And so somehow, I was wondering too, how is this company still in business when they, aren't making any revenue? They're not really showing that high quality of ads. There are some ads on there, but they're very, very low quality ads, things for like, gold prepper supplies. Not really enough revenue to keep that company going. Because, and again, it's not just like a shot at like, oh, Devin Nunes can't run a business. You suck. Does Devin Nunes suck? Oh, yeah. In my opinion, absolutely. But at the same time, I do have to note that it's very difficult to run a social media company. Even worse, when you're an idiot, just look at Elon Musk. I mean, he's a great example of that. So, I don't know. Is this, again, some conservative sugar daddy coming in, trying to backhand, through the SEC blockage in order to get this, True Social going? I don't know. Again, we just don't have the details on that. But let's get to the Russian angle, okay? And so this is, again, where I'm a little bit like, I don't know. In both instances of the wire transfers, Orlando did not provide details about the identity of the lenders or the origin of the money to Trump media executives. Trump Media's since ousted co-founder, however, turned whistleblower, Will Wilkerson. Again, this is somebody that I don't necessarily know. I don't know if I can trust him, but at the same time, here's what he had to say in an interview, and I would really like to see something more substantial than just giving an interview, perhaps a deposition under oath, and I don't know if he had ever given one of those, but okay. Where would he have the chance? I don't think any of this has actually gone to court yet. Or SEC investigators, I don't know if they have spoken to Wilkerson. Nonetheless, more details. Though the two payments to Trump Media ostensibly came from two separate entities, first Paxson Bank and second ES Family Trust, the trustee of ES Family Trust, a person named Angel Pacheco, appears to have simultaneously been a director of Paxson Bank. Okay, so this is weird. So now you can just forget the name of that person because nowhere else does that name pop up. That's weird. That's very strange. But apparently that alleged person that I cannot prove exists or not allegedly runs both of those. And both of those happen to give money to True Social. Now, the Russians are related because there is a part owner of Paxson Bank named Anton Postolnikov, and apparently he is related to a ally of Vladimir Putin named Alexander Smirnov. Now, Smirnov runs a company, Rosmoport, for the government and worked before in the central office of the Russian government until 2017. Before that, he was the first deputy minister of justice of Russia until 2014. And for most of Putin's 2 terms as president, Smirnov served in the executive office of the president. So, okay, Smirnov, great. Definitely very, very close to Vladimir Putin. The only thing that Postolnikov, the relation here is the fact that, well, I don't know, I think he's my cousin or something. Okay, cousin of a person that, yes, is very close in Putin's inner circle, who happens to be a co-owner of a bank that gave to True Social. I'm not saying that there's no, relation here. I'm not saying that it's not possible. It is weird. And it might end up being more than a coincidence. But I also can't say that it's not just a coincidence. I don't know. But there is a relation. And look, some people, at least one person at True Social, at Trump Media, looked at this and was like, this money coming in, and was like, oh, that's weird. In the spring of 2022, Trump Media's then chief financial officer, Philip Wuhan or Wuhan? No, not Wuhan. Definitely not. You think Trump Media would hire somebody named Wuhan? No, of course not. We're going to go with Wuhan since it's a J. Wade returning the money, according to Wilkerson. But the money ended up never being returned, said Wilkerson, in part because losing that $8 million out of the roughly $12 million in cash that Trump Media had in its accounts at the time would have placed significant stress on its financial situation, and that's because True Social wasn't and probably still isn't making money, and they did not have access to their accounts. Okay. So, now, here's the thing. We have records of some of the people who had known about these infusions of cash and were okay with it. One of them happens to be Donald Trump Jr., who had joined the board with Trump ally Kash Patel and former Republican turned Trump media chief executive Devin Nunes. Apparently, they had confirmed to the company's lawyers to proceed with this transaction, again, because they needed the money. So, Now, look, I can understand them being in dire straits, taking money, but at the same time, like, oh, this strange bank out of the Caribbean, foreign bank funneling money into True Social when we need it most. Nope, nothing wrong with that. Doesn't seem fishy at all. Send it in. Yeah, money. Now that's weird. And it does seem like it's some sort of a very big possibility that this is indeed money laundering and is illegal. Again, I still don't know, though, with certainty that this was Vladimir Putin's doing specifically. I can't go and make that leap. And it seems like the people that are reporting in this absolutely want to make that leap. So again, I don't know. And I'm going to be very honest with you about this. And I'm very careful to jump into Russia hysteria. So again, I'm trying to be very careful about this. Now that said, prosecutors, according to the report, appear to have taken special interest in the payments because the offshore Paxton Bank also has a history of providing banking services for the sex industry. So let me be clear. I'm pro-sex industry. I'm just pro-sex in general, okay? Pro-sex industry, the reason that they do have to turn to these banks is because there are a lot of banks in this country that discriminate against the sex industry. And the fact that there is, that for some reason, we have made consensual transactions between two adults when it involves sex illegal, and I think that's the dumbest thing imaginable. Why would we do something like that? It does end up driving it underground and actually ends up hurting sex workers. Nonetheless, prosecutors looking at that and say, oh, that looks to be some rather illegal, again, under our laws, true illegal transactions. So, but that's under our laws, not under Caribbean laws. So now they say that because they do banking services for the pornography industry and sex worker industry, it makes it a higher risk engaging in money laundering and other illicit financing. And I can understand the logic. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing it for one, again, under U.S. law for stupid reasons, illegal thing, then why not do it for other illegal things, especially if you're not in U.S. jurisdiction? So I get it. Now, Orlando himself might be in a little bit of extra special trouble. What do I mean? Well, Orlando had arranged the $8 million in financing. Now, he happens to also have been an SEC licensed broker-dealer and would be subject to SEC rules governing anti-money laundering and know your customer requirements, which in this case, we don't necessarily know the requirements. Who is that Angel Pacheco person? We don't know who happens to run both of these banks. Yeah. I it doesn't seem like he really knew who that customer was. I don't even know if that person actually exists. And again, these large amounts of money just at the time that True Social needs it the most seems rather convenient here. Anyway, those requirements mandate due diligence of investors to combat the proliferation of illicit money. Now, getting back to Trump here, is there a direct relationship to Trump here? Not necessarily, even though Trump runs the company, but again, knowing how lazy Trump is, and because of his laziness, that might actually protect him, because if you're super, super lazy like this guy and don't interfere in the day-to-day operations of these companies, in this case, Trump Media, which he technically ran or owned, well, you might not be involved in these decisions, and you might actually not know anything about it. But then also, he might know something about it. And so, again, we don't know the details. That's why there's an investigation. It is really interesting, though. Now, as a private company arranging private loans, the obligations for Trump Media to vet the financing under the SEC rules are less clear. So that, again, could also help him. That said, not only that, but the securities regulations are separate to the U.S. criminal money laundering statutes, which do apply universally. So if there is indeed evidence of money laundering, well, then that would be subject to U.S. criminal, not just U.S., but criminal penalties. So that is interesting. Now, Wilkerson, and again, I don't know, he hasn't, as far as I know, he hasn't testified this under oath, but he does say that Trump was interested in the deal personally because he got to own 90% of the shares without putting any money into the company, according to a source familiar with the matter. However, Trump invested some money into DWAC, which could allow him to cash out twice in the event that that merger had been consummated. So look, do I think that Donald Trump would just take money without knowing the source? Of course. It's Donald Trump. Somebody hands him money, he's not going to care where it comes from. He's not going to care if it's legal. He's not going to ask, certainly. But he also is stupid enough not to know. So that's definitely a possibility, and actually might work in his advantage if he ends up being the subject of this criminal, investigation, which has so far not looked at him personally, but has been looking at the company itself. Look, there's a lot of weird coincidences, possibly not coincidences in this story, but for sure, there was money that had come into True Social, and that money happened to be very, very suspicious. And so there's good there's good reason to run this investigation. So I say, keep going with it, and we'll find out what we find out. Even without the alleged Russian connection, which again would really just be more like political, like feeding into, you see, he is a Putin puppet. That doesn't even have to be the truth for this to be pretty bad for Trump and Truth Social. Okay. Again, this is probably one of the weirdest stories. Most nuanced, very strange coincidence. Powerful people get money for no reason kind of stories. It really is just amazing. It's amazing. Okay. Wow.
Amazing.
All right, so let's move on. Let's go to more nuance here. Wow. And this involves terrible people suing more terrible people. God, the news, it's crazy today. There's insanity in not just in the control room, but just in the country overall. Weird. Okay. It's possible Representative Lauren Boebert might be going to court soon. Huh. So now this is according to a report in Newsline. David Wheeler, he is the president of the American Muckrakers PAC, is preparing to file a lawsuit against Congresswoman Boebert for defamation. Okay, so now let me give you context here, because there's a lot of twists and turns in the story, and there's parts where Boebert might be right, and there's also parts where Wheeler is right. So, again, this is sort of a let him fight situation, but let's get into it. Now, this would be the second suit by Wheeler against Lauren Boebert. So, what's the story here? So, now the first lawsuit happened in North Carolina State Court. So, Wheeler tried to sue Lauren Boebert for, again, the same thing, defamation. Now, the judge in that case, they're like, why are you suing here? We don't have any jurisdiction. If you want to actually do a lawsuit, you should probably do one in Colorado. Okay, and then, look, he said, okay, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to go and file it in Colorado, but he says, I'm going to do it in federal court instead of state court. Okay, so now Wheeler said that he is looking, the reason, I guess, that he's going after Boebert for defamation, well, there's a couple of different reasons. Again, he believes that some of the statements made by Boebert against him were false and defamatory, but also he's got a political reason. He said he's looking to depose Boebert on video about her involvement in January 6th, as well as numerous other matters that he says are related to the case. And I've got a quote from him later about that, specifically about his reasoning, but says, it certainly would be in the public interest to be able to see that videotape. So look, deposing Lauren Boebert over her actions on January 6th. So look, if you can remember, and let me give you the details on that, leading up to January 6th, Boebert, like a lot of right-wingers, pushed disinformation, the big lie, on social media. A lot of that fed into this, this narrative like, Biden stole the election. We got to take it back. We got to challenge them and prevent the certification of the election. Only Mike Pence can save us. And of course, that narrative led to thousands of pro-Trump protesters going to the Capitol. Some of them demonstrating or picketing illegally. And were, arrested and removed as a result of that, charged as a result of that. And some of them breaking into the Capitol and potentially trying to murder the vice president. So now for Boebert, on the day of the riot, she, of course, voted against the certification of the election. Not a surprise there. She was part of the insurrection caucus, but so were a lot of Republicans, to be fair. And also had tweeted interesting things like, today is 1776. Now, they also noted that she had given a tour of the house previously, but I don't think that really was like, we're casing the joint. I don't necessarily think that that's the case. I don't have any evidence to show that, to prove that. Now, she also did tweet about the speaker being removed, but did not tweet about Nancy Pelosi's exact location, like there were a lot of reports that she had done. So, look, all over social media, there was that talking point. She tweeted where the speaker. I believe even I had fallen for that. Hey, I'm not perfect, but it turns out that she wasn't actually tweeting about the speaker's location as like, go get him. Just like, oh, this is what happened. It got, she got removed from the chambers and that's it. Okay, sure. But look, aside from that, she did post a lot of yikesy stuff and stuff that was definitely, I think, part of inciting people into going to the Capitol. So again, that's that social media usage. It's a bit yikesy. But now the defamation case, this doesn't have anything to do with January 6th. So why does he want to bring her to talk about January 6th when this is a defamation case? It seems, again, weirdly political. And again, I wouldn't be surprised. And that's not to say that I'm on the side of Lauren Boebert here, but I'm trying to be as accurate as I can. I'm trying to give you a lot of the nuance and facts in this, because this is, again, is a very weirdo, interesting, nuanced case. Okay, so now Boebert, if you can remember, she was recently, she almost lost her re-election chance. So barely squeaked by, barely. Now, during that campaign, American Muckrakers PAC had released some information about her that was rather sketchy. So now, look, American Muckrakers PAC before had been very successful, actually, in putting out information that tanked the re-election campaign of Madison Cawthorn.
Tallywhacker.
So, look, they released some information that was, I mean, they had literal video of Madison Cawthorn engaging in some, to conservatives, questionable behavior. I didn't think the behavior was questionable at all. It showed some possible gay stuff going on. I'm a progressive. You want to do gay stuff? Awesome, based. I love it. go do gay stuff. Hey, this is America, right?
We have to keep our country gay.
But right-wingers didn't like that. And so that's the kind of stuff. It also makes American Muckrakers PAC look a little dirty because, oh, look at that. Oh, you gay people. Oh, Madison Cawthorn being gay. Ooh. So, yeah, I guess you could say that I'm kind of predisposed to think they're kind of dirty, this PAC and the ads that they're doing. Nonetheless, I mean, politics, I've said before, is dirty. Is dirty. But anyway, now, during Boebert's campaign, American Muckrakers PAC, after getting rid of Madison Cawthorn, or helping to do that, well, they went after Boebert, and they published some claims about her, that some of which were dubious. And again, I'm being factual, I'm keeping it real, not a fan of Boebert. If you've ever seen any of my other Boebert videos, whew. Now, in fact, American Muckrakers PAC co-founder David Wheeler acknowledged to CNN after they had done extensive fact check of the claims made by American Muckrakers PAC. And he's like, okay, we were sloppy. We had published inaccuracies about Boebert on our website. Now, CNN reporting found that the Super PAC had made at least 5 different false statements about Boebert, along with a series of uncorroborated assertions that Boebert says are false, and that CNN could neither immediately confirm nor immediately debunk. So, look, again, I want to be clear here. I have no problem with going after Lauren Boebert. Just make sure you go after her on things that she actually did. If you're going to take a shot at the right wing, which I do all the time, you better come with some sort of receipts. That's all I'm saying. Or else you're going to discredit yourself. And that's pretty much what happened with American Muckrakers PAC. In fact, Wheeler had conceded that the Super PAC was wrong when it insisted that a photo of another woman posing on a bed is a photo of Boebert. I remember looking at that photo and saying, I don't see it. Now, it was also wrong when it claimed that Boebert initially failed to disclose a campaign contribution from Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. It was also wrong to suggest that Cruz had made a big contribution to Boebert's campaign immediately after she started running in her first primary, and was wrong about the date of a Boebert vehicle accident, and was wrong when it published a claim that Boebert had had an abortion in the fall of 2004, at most 6 months before she gave birth to a son in March of 2005. So the dates, of course, don't exactly line up on that. So, look, again, not a fan of Lauren Boebert. I think she's a dangerous person. I think she represents some of the worst of America. But facts are facts. And the assertions that were made against her were not proven, did not have any evidence to back them up. This PAC did not have this evidence. Again, unlike the case with Cawthorn, where they presented video. So it's kind of hard. I guess I suppose you could do it. But it's generally hard to do convincing video like we had seen with Madison Cawthorn. Okay. So now, Boebert and her campaign, they, of course, hit back and then said, well, you were defaming us with this obviously untrue information, so we're going to sue you. So now, here's where it gets interesting, even more interesting, I should say. Boebert's team never followed through with that lawsuit. Not at all. So she didn't sue, and then Wheeler and the PAC sued again. So now, in North Carolina, in that defamation suit, this is the first lawsuit, Wheeler said that donations, and this is the reason that he filed the suit, donations to Muckrakers PAC went into free fall. And his own income, which came solely from Muckrakers, took a hit. Well, that's because you put unverified information out there against a political opponent in an effort to tank her campaign. So if you do that, make these allegations and you don't back up evidence, then that makes you dishonest. A liar, perhaps. So people will lose trust in your information. This is why I haven't seen anything from American Muckrakers PAC since Madison Cawthorn. So this whole, Lauren Boebert exposed. And then it didn't happen and we all just kind of forgot about it. Yeah. So, okay. Now, here's the thing, right? So, this guy, his troubles, to me, in my opinion, is self-inflicted. You should have done a little bit better. Self-inflicted. Now, that said, I don't think there's a case that she had defamed him, so I don't know if there's any reason for this case to go forward. But again, they're going to get their day in court. Now, the closest thing, however, is when Boebert had filed a restraining order against Wheeler. So now, in that order, which was first approved, then rejected, then taken back by a different court, claimed that Wheeler had engaged in physical and verbal threats against Lauren Boebert. I don't know if that's the case. I don't have any evidence of that. I don't think there is any evidence of that presented as far as my knowledge is. And so, yes, the court ended up rejecting that order. And so now the thing is that could be defamatory if she didn't actually get threatened by him verbally or physically, and she tried to get this restraining order, and then would go out and say, oh my God, this guy who first lied about me, put out all these wrong statements, then threatened me. And she knew that that was not the case. Well, then that could be grounds for defamation. And so it really is. There's so many like weird twists and turns going on in this Boebert case. Now, let's add another wrinkle. Colorado has anti-SLAPP laws. Now, SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuits Against Public Participation. And that law, which went into effect in 2019, seeks to prevent attempts to silence free speech on a matter of public interest. So I think that could factor in this case. Or maybe it's why he decided to go to federal court in Colorado instead of state court, which maybe might not apply. I don't necessarily know. Interesting. But I do think that it could be part of Wheeler's way to try to prove that Boebert was going to silence him by first threatening to do a defamation suit against him for some of the stuff that he posted that turned out not to be true. And on that, of course, Wheeler can say, look, I used anonymous sources. Turns out those sources were lying to me. And so how am I to blame for getting bad sources? I believed them. when they came to me. And so therefore it's not defamation. And then it might also explain why Lauren Boebert ended up not filing a defamation suit against him first. It's so weird. It's so weird. Look, now Wheeler said, how they would know what I was thinking will be the issue. Because everything that we published and put out was based upon what we were told, either in writing, in documents, or in recorded phone calls. Now, the other thing that factors in here is defamation is pretty tough to prove. Again, you have to knowingly and maliciously spread lies that you know are not true. If you got bad sources and you believe the source, and that source ended up being, someone who lied, well, that's different. Bad information, you didn't do your homework, you did sloppy journalism, that sucks. And by the way, there is a harm on that. But does it rise to the point of defamation? No, I don't think so. So now that said, another interesting wrinkle to this, kind of wrap it up, Muckraker's PAC was created with the intention of releasing dirt on candidates. So, look, they did so to try to influence public opinion in these elections, and so they present information. Now, if that information happens to be true, that's journalism. Because if you're releasing true information that happens to harm a campaign, well, I mean, that sucks for the campaign, but facts are facts, truth is truth. Journalism. But if they release information they know is false, fake news, and if they know it's false from the beginning and still spread it with bad intent, like the intent to, prevent somebody from being reelected, then again, that would be defamation. So I don't necessarily know if any of these sides, both Boebert and American Muckrakers PAC, has even a case to meet defamation. And look, Wheeler has admitted himself that that's not really the aim. Okay. In fact, his aim, as I mentioned, is political. He says he wants to get Boebert on the record regarding her involvement in January 6th. Here's that quote. What was her involvement in that? On the record under oath? Because that goes to the facts of our case. In order to undermine her credibility, we're going to ask her about all these other issues in her life that we've made allegations about. Interestingly enough, it might not even go to court. Wheeler's lawyers also told Newsline that he intends, before filing this lawsuit, to ask Boebert for a retraction of false statements that she had made about, the verbal threats and things about Wheeler, which would go a long way towards resolving the dispute. So look, this is this is wild. Could Boebert end up in court? Maybe. Could she end up in court if this does happen during, or I should say just in time for her to start campaigning? I don't know. If she did, and this PAC obviously is ostensibly against her, well, that would be interesting timing, wouldn't it? A little bit of a coincidence. It's, wow. This is a very strange story indeed. Okay. Let's do the last one here. Oh, okay. All right, hold on here. Let me... Recently, I did a story about Florida Sheriff Mike Chitwood, who does not like Nazis, which makes him good, at least as far as the sheriff is concerned. So now Chitwood said that, look, I'd gotten a lot of threats for speaking out against Nazis. And, well, that makes sense because Nazis generally don't happen to be the nicest people around. So now he said that he had received a lot of threats, and now it turns out that one of the people who had made those threats has been arrested. Interesting. So this is play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So let's get to the details on that. According to the Daytona Beach News Journal, Richard Golden, a 38-year-old 4chan clown, this is according to Chitwood, made some threats. So he was charged with second-degree felony written threats to kill or injure County Sheriff, this is Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Chitwood, who was the target of Golden's threats, said that he was, get this, Golden was unemployed, living in a back bedroom at his mother's house. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So now Golden had made some threats in a 4chan chat room after Chitwood spoke out against the Goyim Defense League. This is a very violent, gross neo-Nazi group for going around and spreading anti-Semitic hate literature about the Jewish community in Volusia County. So, look, Chitwood's like, I'm going to protect the Jewish community here in Volusia County. Nazis are not welcome. Come at me, bro. Like, you want to try? Do it. Do it. So now this guy says, okay, I'm gonna talk about doing it. I'm not actually gonna do it, just because, you know, I'm unemployed and living in the back of my mom's house. Again, hilarious, right? Total loser. But here's what he said, quote, just shoot Chitwood in the head and he stops being a problem. They have to find a new guy to be the problem, but shooting Chitwood in the head solves an immediate problem permanently. Just shoot him in the head and murder him. Well, I mean, like, there's no code there. All right. Not only is this guy a complete and utter loser, but he's also incredibly dumb, which, again, tracks because that's usually how Nazis are. Not very smart. Generally, the people who tend to say that they are the master race and are better than everyone else usually tend to not be. You know, because there is no such thing, but they tend to be even more just absolutely ridiculous. Not good prime examples of the white race, as they claim to be. Okay, but anyway, now, according to the article here, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, along with other government agencies, launched an investigation after they were notified of the threats and discovered that this Golden guy is anti-government, anti-law enforcement, and like every active shooter that we come across, is a marginalized member of society who spent hours and hours and hours in these extremist chat groups. And in this press conference, he showed a picture, which I don't have, but I'll throw the picture into post, but says, here's this clown sitting in his bedroom who was indoctrinated by this bullcrap, and I think the best way to solve the problem is, thinks the best way to solve the problem is to put a bullet in my head. Look, man, being a complete and total loser aside, there is an issue with these extremists, neo-Nazi groups that do recruit. So now they will take people who, yes, are not doing well. They'll take people and they'll fill their head full of complete and utter crap, BS, again, to make them think that their problems are the result of other people. In this case, obviously, there's a lot of people who think that, oh, it's the Jews. No, that's you. But look, not just you, by the way. There are real issues that are affecting young people all over the country. And a lot of it does stem from capitalism and, ironically, the right wing, which tends to create a lot of economic issues through some of their policies, or through a lot of their policy. And so let's be honest about that. Not to like give this guy any sort of like out or anything like that, because what he has been threatening That's not cool. Don't threaten to go after people because you disagree with them about Nazis. No, Nazis bad. And this guy's saying, no. You understand. They're good. No, they're bad. They're bad. There's no debate here. Nazis bad. Don't threaten people because they don't like Nazis. And the only people who would do so is people who are obviously Nazis. But so again, look, overall, moral of the story is here. There is a massive amount of people that are being indoctrinated online by the far right. And they're targeting specific kinds of people. And maybe we ought to actually do something about this to prevent said recruitment. You know, I think you should really attack the problem at its source, because Nazi ideology only becomes attractive to people when there are certain economic conditions. And when there are people that are demagogues that will go out and then start assigning blame for these economic conditions to marginalized people. And so we ought to do something about those conditions to prevent people from being attracted to Nazism. Because generally when a country is doing pretty well, when a populace is doing well, when people have good wages, when people have good jobs and benefits and things like that, well, Nazism tends to not do very well. And so we ought to focus on making our society better to prevent people like this from being interested in that sort of horrible ideology in the first place. And I think that's one of the most effective ways of crushing that ideology. For the people who already believe in it, for the people that are already there, well, I have, no sympathy for them whatsoever, because at the end of the day, if you have that ideology, if you believe that ideology, well, then you're ultimately, at that point in time, a pretty terrible person. Okay. Anyway, that's all I got for that. Okay, all the stories I have today, I want to just, again, go and give some massive love to the audience here who has, again, given me, in this show, massive love. So I really, really appreciate it. Let's go here. I read some of those earlier. Let's see. Oh, you were so amazing, all of you. Let's see. Elwell, thank you for gifting 5 Waldorf Nation memberships on YouTube. Really appreciate that. Tyler Hackner, thank you, very kind. Thank you for the kind super chat as well. We're here for you. We love you so much. Well, I love you all back. I appreciate you all. Felicia McCrae says, keep up the great work. Thank you. And thank you for the very kind super chat. That's Not Funny says your show matters. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that as well. And I'm glad that I bring something through this show that's positive in your lives. And that's really the greatest contribution that I think that I could that I could do is to give some sort of positivity and some sort of benefit to you all for being here and doing what I do. Let's see. Gabby Mathis says, we love you. I need your show. Married to a Michigander. I support you. Tomorrow for 30 years. Hey, happy early anniversary. And I'll try to give you a shout out on that tomorrow as well. Thank you very much for the very kind $20 as well. I love you all. Jose Kelly, thank you for the very kind super chat. This is my sanity space, and I will fight for it. I appreciate that. Miss Anonymous 617, thank you for the gifted membership. I appreciate that. Lid, hugs and positive vibes. Take care and know that you're phenomenal and funny. Well, thank you. I can't thank you enough for the kindness. I really can't. Jonathan Leiter says, my father taught me that there's never any harm in asking for help. Today's outpouring of support for Jeff proves the point. There's no shame in needing help, no matter what America may think. Thank you again. Thank you. It means more than I can express. So thank you. Koru, thank you for being a member, 37 months. Wonderful to see the support. Again, my heart is just lifted. Thank you. Star Carpenter says, I hope you're able to keep up your awesome show. I do too. Again, this outpouring of support shows that, you know, I have people that you know, back me up, and that means everything in the world. Koro says the Emperor has no clothes. Thank you for the very kind super chat as well. Jessica Hover, thank you for being a member. Straw Carpenter, thank you for being a member for 11 months, almost a year, and says the show's great and the live chat is the best. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, over on Facebook. Again, I appreciate you all watching as well. Thank you so much. Madi Darno, thank you for the very kind $10 super chat. I really appreciate that as well. Let's see. Let's go to our Twitch community and see what's going on there. I was in a rush to get you know, to get everything started today on time. And so let's see, over here on Twitch, and let me get this all set up first. Rialin86 basically replied to this.
I'm not worth your McDonald's money?
By saying, no, you are worth your McDonald's money. And thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for resubbing for a month at Tier 1 for 15 months over on Twitch. Again, you're all absolutely just amazing and wonderful people. And again, I couldn't do the show without you. It literally, it would not exist. Our Future Now, thank you for being a member for 3 months. Says, this is my favorite stream. Keep at it. Thank you. Thank you. Just, yeah, all the, I'm floored by all the love and support. So again, you're all wonderful, 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 generous people. So thank you. Okay. I gotta, go and get these videos, posted, online, up on our YouTube, Facebook pages. But we'll be here tomorrow. We should have a great show tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Same time, same place, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here. And again, I'll keep doing this for as long as I can, and as long as I have your back. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it. All right, love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody.
There's insanity in the control room.
Who's got a hammer?
Tighten up my knees. I like my knees tight.
Oh yeah.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
They want to make you drink Starbucks every day from now until forever.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.